It's the 12th of June. Mr. Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, a 40-year-old man returning home after a short trip to India, is waiting for his flight. It's a 9-hour journey from Ahmedabad, India to London. His check-in is complete. His documents are verified. He has cleared the passenger screening. Nothing felt unusual at all. 11A was the seat he got, right next to the emergency exit. He sits quietly, waiting for the flight to begin. At 1:38 p.m. International Standard Time, the plane lifted off from Ahmedabad's runway 23. But a few minutes after takeoff, something went wrong. The crew noticed a sudden drop in power. At an altitude of just 625 feet, and only 32 seconds after takeoff, it crashed. It crashed into a residential area near the airport. The crash left the area in flames. Smoke filled the sky. 231 passengers and 11 crew members were on board. It was a total loss. But one man made it out. His name was Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. This was the final audio recovered from the black box. But what's a black box in the first place? Black box is a device in every aircraft that records flight data and cockpit conversations. It's built to survive crashes, so investigators can know what really happened. On July 8, 2025, investigators released a 15-page report. It gave the first official look at what happened in the final moments of the flight. The Air India Boeing 787 Dreamliner killed everyone on the plane except one. On the ground, 19 people died, and 67 were badly hurt. On page 14 it says, the aircraft achieved the maximum recorded airspeed of 180 knots IAS at about 8:42 UTC, and immediately thereafter, the Engine 1 and Engine 2 fuel cutoff switches transitioned from run to cutoff position one after another, with a time gap of 1 second, meaning both engine fuel switches were manually turned off just seconds after takeoff, causing both engines to shut down and the plane to crash. But this is highly unlikely to happen by accident, because the switches are spaced apart. Each of them is protected by 2 brackets around the cutoff switch, a design built for safety, to prevent any accidental operation. You'd have to deliberately lift and move them. It's not something a pilot would just brush against or flip by mistake. Because of this, investigators began to look at other possibilities, including whether one of the pilots turned off the switches on purpose or if there was a fault in the switch design itself. The pilots who flew the plane were Captain Sumit Sabharwal, with 15,638 hours of flying experience, including 8,596 hours on the Boeing 787. And co-pilot Clive Kunda, with 3,403 hours of flying experience, including 1,128 hours on the Boeing 787. At 13:39:05, the pilot contacted the air traffic control station and gave a mayday call thrice. The ATC tried to re-establish contact with them, but they got no response because the plane had already crashed by then. But the question is, if a pilot wants to commit suicide, then just moments before the crash, why would he deny it? And why would he then let both switches be turned on? Before the flight, Both of them had passed the breathalyzer test, so they weren't intoxicated. And switching them back on within 10 seconds is the biggest indication that the pilots actually wanted to fly the plane. In the entirety of this report, it's never mentioned that the switches were actually turned off by the pilots themselves. It is just an assumption. So the question is, if it wasn't intentional and it wasn't an accident, what are the other possibilities? The Director General of the Indian Air Force for Inspection and Flight Safety, Sanjeev Kapoor, believes the tone and direction of the investigation of this report are biased towards pilot error. He said that, "I can challenge the most seasoned pilot to turn off both three-stepped fuel control switches on a Boeing 787 in under a second." He continued by saying, "What a joke. It's time to question the logic, not just blame the crew." In 2018, the FAA had warned Boeing that the locking system on the fuel switches could wear down over time, making them easier to move. Instead of redesigning the switch, Boeing issued only a service notice, which was optional for airlines to follow. Air India replaced the switches in the past, but the basic design stayed the same. Unlike the American company Boeing, Airbus, the European giants in aviation, takes a different approach. Its aircraft use a digital system called FADEC, which controls the engines automatically through software instead of manual switches like Boeing. Unlike many air crashes where the cause becomes clear, this incident remains rare, with no clear proof whether it was a pilot's mistake or a fault in the aircraft. But against all odds, here's how Vishwash Kumar Ramesh escaped. When the plane broke apart during impact, his seat was thrown clear of the wreckage and landed on soft soil. He was seated in 11A, right next to an emergency exit, between two buildings, which helped cushion the fall. The nearby emergency exit had blown open, and somehow, despite the chaos, he managed to unbuckle his seatbelt and walk away from the burning wreckage. He suffered injuries, but he survived, the only one out of 261 people on board. Whether it was a tragic decision by a pilot or a serious design mistake by the aircraft company, the result is the same. 261 people lost their lives.
Thanks for watching till the end. This video took a lot of effort and quite a while to render, so if you enjoyed it, please support the channel. It really keeps us motivated to create more.